A home is the dream of every individual around us and can be said as primary goal of most of the people like me, because I often think my dream house like everyone else do. There are numerous things which should be considered before buying a house, like the society, the neighborhood, the design, facilities, and the most important thing, the history of the house. So today we are going to explain the story about the house with a terrifying history, and the name of the house was the Amityville house, situated near New York City in America. In the movie, it is shown that the house is located in a very peaceful and very large space, but in reality, the house is located in like a general society, we all live in. There are various neighbors around the house. It is not in a very huge space. This story is based on a real story. All the things shown in the movie is real. On the basis of the same story, 17 movies, hundreds of documentaries, and several books were written by various writers. That is why I thought that this story is very important to share with you all. Without any further delay, let's get into the story. The story starts in 1975 when Lutz family moved in this house. When Lutz family moved in this house, they faced several paranormal activities. At the beginning, they felt some very neglectable kind of experiences, like sudden drop of temperature in certain area of home. Like they used to feel that the temperature is dropping gradually in some corners of the house, not in everywhere. And they also used to smell like some rotten meats in the house, but they didn't take anything so seriously. After some days, the incidences gradually increased. Once George Lodge was sleeping beside his wife, and let me tell you, the George Lodge was the main member of that family. While he was sleeping, he saw his wife levitating on air, which was very strange and horrifying. George Lodge was completely scared that night, and he could not sleep all night and was thinking, was it a dream or a reality? Because he could not believe his eyes what he just saw. After that night, when he woke up in the morning, he was roaming around his house and he saw some very weird footsteps around his house. After that incident, he was completely scared, and we can't imagine his situation. He could not identify what the real problem is. That is why he could not share these incidences with anyone around him, because he was really worried about these things, that what people will say about him if he will share this kind of thing with the people. Because in today's generation, nobody believes in these paranormal incidences. He took very long time while deciding what to do next. After that, he thought of going to a church near his house, and he consulted with a priest and shared everything he saw in his house and all the things they were experiencing since they had moved in this house. After that, father was ready to help him and went his home with him. There was one more mystery with that house, that when all the papers were submitted to Mr. John, at that time they were really surprised to see a room in a basement which wasn't shown in the map. There were no any clues that there were a room inside their basement. They were completely shocked because of that room, because nobody said nothing about that room while selling the house. Then the priest arrived his home with Mr. John and started his process of cleansing the house. While he was cleaning the house, he felt something abnormal in the house. The priest didn't know how powerful the entity is, though he tried his best. While he started his cleansing process, he threw some holy water on the house. While he was throwing the holy water in the house, some unknown entity attacked on the priest very brutally. The priest was very scared, and he knew that the entity is warning him to leave the place, and he ran out of the house without informing anyone in the house, and he went towards his home. After he reached his home, he saw some wounds were appearing on his body by itself. He didn't know how it came on his body because he didn't have any such accidents. After that, priest was completely worried, and he promised himself that he will never go to that home again in his entire life. After these happenings, on the 28th day, the Lutz family left that home without taking any of their things from home. They just took a car and left the house forever. They never came back again. But there was a mystery that the Lutz family already knew the history, the past of the house. The past of the house was very terrifying and disturbing because in the same house, 6 people were brutally murdered by their own son. Though they bought the house because of their very tight budget, and they were getting very rarely found deal on this house with multiple facilities, which were the best deal they could ever get. The house had a swimming pool and all the facilities required in a home to become a luxury house. They bought that home around $80,000, which were very cheap as compared to its facilities. Now, you all might have a question why these things were happening with them and what was the reason behind it and what is the past of that house. Then let me tell you, to know the history of that house, we must go 1 year back in the past in 1974. In 1974, there lived a DeFeo family with 7 members: Ronald, his mother, his father, his 2 brothers and 2 sisters. And all the furniture used by the Lutz family was the same furniture used by the DeFeo family because all the furnitures were attached with the house. Most of the furniture were very old and very high quality. Ronald used to work in a car showroom and so his father. They were very happy with their life. But on 13 November 1994, Ronald went to office on his regular time. His father used to join the office 1.5 hours after Ronald joined his office. But on that day, Ronald waited for his father for 2.5 hours, but he didn't came to the office. That is why Ronald called to their home, but nobody received the call. Ronald was completely shocked because there were 6 members in the house and nobody was receiving the phone, and it was the first time it happened to their home. After trying so many calls, Ronald got busy in his own work because there were so many customers waiting for him. After the all-day work in the evening, Ronald went to the bar and had some drink with his friends like everyone else do in the evening. After taking some drinks, he remembered that he hadn't talked with anyone in the house, and he again called in his home, but again nobody responded the call. After that, he was completely scared. He got up from the bar and rushed towards his home. While he reached home, he saw all the cars were parked at home like always. It means everyone was in home, but all the doors were closed. After searching for some time, he found half-opened window, by the help of which he went inside the house. When he entered inside the house, he saw something that he could never forget in his entire life, and he never imagined of those things to happen. He found all members of his family dead in their own bedroom, and they were murdered very brutally. After seeing this, he was completely out of his mind and he screamed a lot, he cried a lot, and after that he called the police. After some time, police came to their house and saw everything and asked him, "Do you have any doubt on anyone?" He didn't took a time and said, "I have a doubt on my uncle," because his terms and communication was not very good with Ronald's father. That is why he had a doubt on his uncle. After that, police took Ronald on their custody. Police took him in the custody not because he was guilty, but to protect him from the murderer. Investigating police found so many mysteries in this case. That is why they created the same scene again. Then they could not believe what they found. All the murders were done with the gun. When police was investigating, they fired a gun. They found that the sound of the gun could be heard from 5 homes far, but they had a very big confusion that why didn't any of their neighbor complained about this incidents while they heard this sound. But while they was talking with the neighbor, they said they never heard any kind of sound, and they were also confused about these things, that while they could not hear, the neighbor could not hear the sound, it is all right, but why the other family members sleeping in other room could not hear the sound of the gun. After that, they had a doubt that the murderer might have mixed something in their food, because of which they got unconscious and they could not hear any kind of sound. but they clearly knew that there were nothing in their food after the postmortem report came to them. It made the police officer more shocked and curious at the same time. After the postmortem report was provided to the police knew that the murders were done around 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. and they found gun from the Ronald's room. Now they were very sure about the case and they knew there might be something wrong with Ronald, and they took him to the custody and asked him so many times about what happened and why did you do that, because they was fully sure that murderer is no other than Ronald, because the Ronald was at home while all the murders were done, because Ronald used to go to his office at 6 o'clock in the morning, but the murders were done at 2 to 4 a.m. in the morning. That is why while all the murders had happened, Ronald was in his own room, but Ronald was not ready to say a single word during the interrogation. After the police asked him several times, Ronald suddenly switched his personality, like he changed his talking tone and his body language, like he was possessed by some other entity, and he said, "I finished everything so fast that I even don't remember anything about that incident." Since Ronald was seemed possessed, but the court did not believe any kind of things, because court only believe in the evidences, and all the evidences were against Ronald. That is why court gave him the punishment of life imprisonment. The case seemed to be finished, but the police officers were not fully satisfied with the investigations. That is why they called the Lutz family and interrogated them. Police not only interrogated them manually, but they used something called lie detecting devices on them and asked some questions to them. But police were again completely shocked after seeing the result of the lie detector test, because everything happened there were very shocking and unbelievable for normal people. They asked John about the night when he saw his wife levitating. After that he said, "Yes, I saw all these things happening with my own eyes, but all the things was proved technically correct because of the lie detector machine, and this case was proved technically true." Now you all might have a question that does this house exist in today's world? Then let me tell you, yes, this house still exists in this world. And thank you for watching this story till the end. If you like this story, like the video, subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon beside to never miss any latest video from Mysterious Hub. Thank you so much.